Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Gray, and we're just plain living here on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
I know, it's close.
It's close. It's here.
Hi, I'm Peggy Burton.
You are. I like your haircut. You got your haircut.
Oh,
you look cute as a bug.
I feel weird. It's always weird when you get your hair cut, but it's okay.
Well, it's always okay.
It's like
anything you do is okay.
I'm thankful to have hair. I have a lot to be thankful for, and I think we all do. I think you and I, at least.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Have a lot to be thankful for.
Everybody alive has something they can be thankful for. You know, a lot of times we place our definition of success and happiness on somebody else's determination on what you should think it should be. You know whether you're happy or not. You know whether you can make yourself happy.
Well, yeah.
Be happy.
I think the bottom line is you do have to make yourself happy.
Sure you do.
You can't sit around and wait for somebody else to
No, they're not going to do it.
plug you
because
in.
their definition that they give you of happiness is maybe something you can never attain. Maybe it's something they attain, but they don't want you to be happy unless you get there, when you can be just as happy without being them. Be happy because you're you.
I am.
Hey,
I've
speaking
always
about
been happy 'cause I'm
sacrifice,
me.
we were talking about sacrifice. Life is filled with sacrifices. Some given for good, some taken in vain. Significant are those given by turkeys, without which there would be no turkey sandwiches. So I just want to say thank you to all the turkeys for being sacrificial, where I can have a turkey sandwich this Thursday.
I have to tell you, I've known a few turkeys. I have personally known a few turkeys.
You know, they are saying that there's going to be an abundance of turkeys because a lot of people with government mandates or suggestions not to get in a room with too many people, and there'll be a lot of turkeys that'll be saved from the guillotine this year.
Guillotine. I've always got a field full of wild turkeys, if anybody likes wild turkey.
You know what that means with all those turkeys running free?
No.
Don't wear your suede shoes outside. You'll be stepping in turkey stuff. And turkey stuff doesn't clean off a suede very well, ladies, so put your mucklucks on.
There you go.
There'll be turkey turds everywhere.
My turkeys stay away from the house, but they come close.
Well,
They have to come by.
yeah, they do. And aren't they fun to watch?
I love to watch turkeys.
I love it when the old Tom is trying to teach the young Toms how to be an old Tom.
And what do?
Well, they'll stretch their neck. Have you ever seen them sit there and stretch? They'll teach them how
Yeah.
to stretch their neck and how to fan their
And how to fan
feathers
their
and
feathers.
stuff. You know, and I guess that is that's teaching them how to mate or try to
Right.
attract a female.
They are quite beautiful when their feathers
Oh yeah.
spread, just like a peacock.
Now they can be very, very destructive as well.
Oh, they can?
Oh yeah, I was doing a subdivision up above Cool Springs Mall in Brentwood, and it was on a hillside, and we were trying to get grass to grow to keep the soil from washing away. Well, every time we'd seed it, the next day in the morning when I'd show up, there'd be a line of turkeys had come out of the woods, and they were all rode up going across it just like a harvester, eating all that seed. Yeah, while we were feeding the turkeys. We weren't growing any grass.
Oh, my.
Tullahoma High School, thank you, Wildcat football team of 2020, for giving us one of the best seasons that we've ever had. It's the first time any Wildcat team has gone 13-0.
Isn't that something?
And 12-0, and they got beat by Nolensville this past Friday night. But what a great season we've had.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, coaches. Good job, boys.
Fabulous.
Administration. It's been difficult to get into the games, to figure out how to go seat yourself at a game,
and how to
act,
work your way through the COVID issue.
Yeah.
It's been huge.
So, we made it all the way through our season. We didn't have to cancel but one game. We canceled a game with Spring Hill, but we picked up a team out of Chattanooga Brainerd, a Brainerd team, a good Brainerd team that we played and beat. So John Olive and your staff, thank you, gentlemen, for doing what you do for our children. And they've learned by the time they get through with you how to be a survivor in this world of ours, and they'll know how to pick up and get going. So
there's a lot of trials and tribulations through this COVID issue with the students.
Sure.
I think to myself about, we were talking earlier back here about the singers, for instance.
Right.
Being outside, rehearsing their music 8 feet apart. And it's just a whole different set of rules to become a musician or learn a song, whatever.
And the band. Thank you to the band, because let me tell you what the band did is they left their stadium seats and went out onto the field, and instead of taking their stadium seats, which if they would have social distanced would have taken almost half of the side of the home section, and they stood in the end zone in the dark all year long where they could stand 6 feet apart and play
their music.
And I just want to thank them and for their dedication to the program.
I agree.
Because guess what? They didn't have any contests this year.
I know.
Because of COVID. So they did all of this strictly in support for the football team. Of course, that's where it was all started in the beginning anyway, but
at least they got to play.
They got to play with their friends and family in the stands, and just a great deal. What's going on, South Jackson?
Oh my gosh, there's a whole long list. Greg Gressel's coming on next week to talk about all the events that's happening in December. This next week we open Nutcracker. I think it's next week. December's next week, right? And then there's the parade. The parade on
Christmas
the 4th.
Parade is on is next, and
Long School of Dance's production of Nutcracker is going to be live streamed at 9 a.m. and again Saturday night it'll be live streamed, and we are encouraging live people to come in to see the show because it'll definitely be social distanced, but we're providing an opportunity for people that do not feel they should get out to plug in and see the show.
And you'll have to pay a ticket price for that.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, we're having the schools, for instance, are making reservations, and when they make reservations to live stream into the school, every teacher can have a screen, computer or TV, and live stream for her students, so they don't have to cram together.
Right.
And we have
that's great.
Several that are doing that. If there's anybody else out there that wants to do that, they should call in. We also are live streaming into homes.
So isn't that a wonderful thing to be able to do that?
For what it's worth, the whole school can see the show for $100, and it can be in 20 different rooms.
Yeah.
In the home, it's $30.
Well, and the thing about it is you need to think about the government, like I've said, has sent money to individuals, sent money to businesses to survive, but they hadn't sent any money to our small stages.
No, they haven't.
And, the small stages, when they open back up, don't have inventory to sell.
That's
like
true.
A can of beans or extra ham or something like that. But the dates that they hadn't been able to have a show are gone. And so when you can find a way to support our small stages, and this is a great way if you don't want to go see the Nutcracker and you want to have all your grandkids come to your house, and you can buy one $30 hookup, and all your family can watch it. I mean, what a great deal for you, and it gives South Jackson Civic Center a little money, a little boost.
Right, because we're trying hard to stay alive over there. And to me, the arts are extremely important.
Speaking about boost.
Were we speaking about boost?
Horns to their lips, arrows at their fingertips, on stag or steed, he freed the gold from their hips. The bounty ever present in the wood for all who stood with Robin Hood. So, our good old buddy Robin Hood, I can remember this time of year when I was a kid, those old movies would come on in black and white, Errol Flynn and these guys, there'd be swashbuckling and sailing ships and Robin Hood. And he was the hero. He was a grown-up version of Peter Pan, pretty much.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
I was a fan of Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn, a good-looking man. Yeah.
One of his statements that has stuck with me through my life is, when you're down and worried, just whatever it takes to get you through that night is what you worry about.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody would agree with that, but sometimes it's hard to get through just the next minute, and you have to find some way to survive it.
I'll ask my wife sometimes. She'll be upset about something, and I'll say, well, honey, what are you upset about? Well, I'm upset about so-and-so. Oh, really? Let's see, what's today?
Oh,
November the 20 what?
23?
4th? 5th? Huh? 24th, November the 24th.
Tuesday, yeah. Okay.
Well, that's right before Thanksgiving, so that would be memorable. But she'll say February the 12th. I'll say, well, what were you worried about February the 12th last year? Well, I don't know. I said, well, you won't remember this next year either.
Well, that's a good way to
why
look
are
at
you being so worried about it? You can't fix it.
Worry is
done.
a waste of
It's a waste
energy.
of time.
It's a waste of time.
So
if you got to worry,
I have heat, I have food, I have problems, but so do most of you. I'm lucky to live in a land of the free, surrounded by friends and family. I'm old enough to know what I must do. So thank you.
Good.
So thank you. And with that said, we'll be back after these messages.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
everyone. I'm John Rickman.
And this is Pat Welch, and we're here today for segment 35 of the Conversations with John and Pat.
It's been so good.
It has been good.
I've got a song here we've done many years ago, and some of these songs come back from the 70s. And I've gone
1970s.
What did I say?
70s. I just want to make sure establish which century.
Yeah, that's it. There once was a fellow they called Mr. Clay. He had but 2 clients and they wouldn't pay. He was a lawyer. At last of starvation he grew so afraid that he courted and married a wealthy old maid. At the wedding the lawyer made one big mistake, was not in omitting the wine or the cake. The ring was well chosen, they had a big feast, but the lawyer did not get a warranty deed. He's a very unfortunate, very unfortunate, very unfortunate man. Oh yes, he's a very unfortunate, very unfortunate, very unfortunate man. That night in their chambers the lady arose and began to prepare to retire and repose. Her husband sat near her, admiring her charm that gave him such pleasure to hold in his arms. She went to the washstand to bathe her fair face, thus she destroyed all her beauty and grace. Her trembling husband became very faint when he saw on a towel it was nothing but paint. She went to the mirror to take down her hair. When she had done this, her scalp was plumb bare. She said, "Don't be frightened, when I go to bed, I'll put a sock cap on my head before I get into bed." Little bumble.
That was no problem.
She hung her false hair on a wall on the peg. Then she proceeded to screw off her leg. Her trembling husband got quite a surprise when she asked if he'd come help pop out her glass eye. Now all you young men who would marry for life, be sure to examine that intended wife. Don't be like the lawyer who trusted his eye and a little bit later got quite a surprise. He's a very unfortunate, very unfortunate, very unfortunate man. Oh yes, he's a very unfortunate, very unfortunate, very unfortunate man. Woo! Lordy mercy. You know those words come slow when you're under strain, trying to remember. Duress.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway.
Where are we headed, John? I'm going to have a hard time with a segue on that. I believe we were going to talk about Wallace Wade today.
Yeah, and there is no segue, I don't think.
No, we just have to go from probably getting sued by somebody connected with the government and the Disabilities Act.
Oh, don't bring it up, Pat.
Well, let's go to Wallace Wade. I did a little research back when East Lincoln Elementary was redone, and what a great addition to our community. But it's on the campus of the old Tullahoma High School and the old football field and baseball field, I believe. It's all connected and it's known as Wade Field. And some people, a lot of people in Tullahoma still don't know, those that knew the field was over there, that it was named after. It's named after Wallace Wade. And Wallace Wade had a time period in Tullahoma, but I'm going to skip and go forward first. After Tullahoma, he went to Vanderbilt as what would have essentially been a defensive coordinator, and that was in 1919 and 1920. and he coached for Dan McGugan, whose name is on
McGugan Field.
A lot of the facilities at Vanderbilt. In fact, I think the academic headquarters of the building is named as McGugan Center. But they were undefeated and Southern Conference champions both years, and he was a hot commodity. And he was summoned to Kentucky and to Alabama, and he interviewed in Tuscaloosa, and I believe got an offer pretty quick, but he felt like he owed it to himself to go also to Kentucky. So he went to Lexington, had a short interview, and the Board of Trustees met for about 3 or 4 hours, and he was kind of a short-tempered kind of guy. And he ended up knocking on the door and said, if y'all can't decide by now, I'm out of here. And supposedly he said that no team of Kentucky ever beat one of his again, and he claimed later in life that didn't happen, but for sure he barged in the meeting and took his name out and went to Alabama. Why don't you put his picture up there, Philip? There's Wallace Wade there, and that was after he'd been at Alabama and was then at that point coaching at Duke. At Alabama, his first year would have been 1925, I believe. And his first year was in 1923. And they won the Southern Conference that year. And by 25, they were invited to the Rose Bowl. They played Washington and was way behind at halftime. And he had coached with somebody. Well, I tell you who it was Coach McGugan, who originally was from Iowa. But he heard him make an impassioned plea to his players about the opponent, and I think at that time was Michigan. Their grandfathers of the players that were beating them had put their grandfathers in their graves. And evidently Wallace Wade borrowed that line, and though he had no idea if any of had been involved. Stirred up. Yeah, he got them real stirred up. They came back and won 21-20, and that's, by a lot of football historians in the South, is considered the greatest game as far as the South was concerned, because at the time they were really looked down on as being uneducated and inept and incapable of playing with the Midwest and Northeastern teams primarily, but this Washington team was really, really good. And then he won the next year. They won the national championship again. In 1930, he won a national championship after he had told the Alabama administration he's probably going to leave because he didn't think Alabama was putting enough emphasis on football. So he went to Duke and never won a national championship there, but he went to Rose Bowl 2 more times. And I believe his 1938 team was undefeated and unscored on. And then played, and I believe it was one of General Neyland's team in a bowl game and got beat. But they played 10 games without being scored on. All right, let's go back then to his Tullahoma roots if we've got time. He originally was from Trenton, Tennessee, Trenton, which is a small town in West Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And normally the people in Gibson County, where that's located, pronounce it Trenton. And he went to Trenton Peabody School, which is still there today, and was quite a good player and was a good, did really well in school. And he went to Brown, which was it's an Ivy League school in Rhode Island, I believe, and played on a Rose Bowl team there. And then he went into World War I as a captain in the cavalry. And I'm not sure he was in direct combat or not, but I know he served in the Army at the close of World War I. And when he came back to Trenton, he told his father he wanted to coach. And his father wasn't really excited about that, but there was a private school in Tullahoma, Fitzgerald and Clark, that the city owned the building. There it is. Almost looked like a castle. The city built this school with the idea they would lease it to, and several different groups had it. Fitzgerald and Clark had it for 4 or 5 years, and it burned. And when Tullahoma rebuilt, they then started their own public high school. But this was a private school that Wallace Wade came to. Show the gym, Philip. There's the gym, and that did not burn, and it became the the Tullahoma High School gym, and then we came to East Junior High gym. And
That's where I coached in my early years there.
There was a lot of successful, great victories earned by John Rickman in that gym right there.
We sure hope so.
That's right. His first team was in 1919. They won several games, I think about 7 or 8 games. The next year they were undefeated and were declared state champions. That's a picture of the state championship team. 2 of those members there went to Vanderbilt with him, and several of them played at UT. In fact, I believe there was one by last name was Bomar, who was supposed to have been a great player, and I think an ancestor of Mr. Bomar, who was a real successful attorney in Bedford County. Yeah, and we're getting emotion now that. And after he left, 2 years, it had a great impact on Tullahoma. And
Wallace Wade
in the field, at the public school when the city rebuilt after the fire, the football field was named Wallace Wade Field. Well, I had a great time researching that when East Lincoln was dedicated, and I've had a great time presenting it today, John. That ends segment 35, but it's not the end of our conversations. John and I've got a lot to go. Thank you.
My great-grandfather started it in 1900, and now it's 2020, which is 120 years. We still measure your feet, still try to help you find a good fit. We're just a good old-fashioned shoe store where we'll measure your feet, make sure you're in the right size, and help you find a comfortable shoe for men, women, and children.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back. Notice who we have on the set here. We have Miss Dolly Parton and Laurel Stone from the Coffee County Imagination Library. And I'm so excited because just talking to you, I've gotten back into books for children, and I think that is the most beautiful thing that Dolly does. But she's done something new that I'd like for you to talk about, the movie. Tell everybody about that.
Well, she has got the world premiere of her movie, The Library That Dolly Built, that will air on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock Central on December 9th. that movie will air. And Dolly wants to celebrate all of the people that helped make her dreams come true with the Imagination Library program.
That's one of the beautiful things about Dolly. She is so grateful, and she's always sharing her expertise and her success with those people that she built her life on top. And it means a lot. I notice you have a lot of books here. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Yes, the Imagination Library program, just for those who need a refresher, Dolly started it back in 1995 in Sevier County, and it's a book program that sends books in the mail to children birth to 5 at no cost once a month from the time they're born to the time they're 5 years old.
If I'm not mistaken, it goes directly to that child, right, with their address and their name.
It has their name and their address goes straight to their mailbox. And Dolly started this, and we've had the program going in Coffee County for at least 15 years or so. We have a lot of kids signed up in Coffee County. This is the first book that they get, The Little Engine That Could. And if your child is born at Tenova Healthcare Harton, they get signed up and get their first book right after they're born, before they leave the library.
That's sweet. That's a wonderful thing. I can't get over how much she has done for this country. And the lessons that are learned in these little books, there's a story in each one, but there's always a moral and a good thing to learn.
Yes, they're great books, and it's a great program Dolly started. This is one of the books that Dolly wrote, I Am a Rainbow, one of my favorites. Great message, but it does take money to get these books out.
Exactly.
We here in Tennessee are lucky enough to have the Governor's Early Literacy Foundation to pay for half of it. Unfortunately, people think that Dolly pays for all of it. She does not.
She did at the beginning.
Yeah, well, she started the program, and she started the Dollywood Foundation that administers the program. But every county, including Coffee County, has to come up with money to get the books out to these children. And so half of it comes from the Governor's Foundation, and the other half we have to come up with. That's why we need your help in raising money, and so a fundraiser is coinciding with the movie premiere.
Okay, I see what you mean. And so your fundraiser involves what?
Our fundraiser involves mostly giving on Facebook. We also, on our Facebook page, have information if you need to call us, email us, any other way to contact us, send us a Facebook message if you want to donate. But we do have a button you can push on our Facebook page to donate directly to the Coffee County, the Imagination Library of Coffee County, to help all the books in all the children in our county, which is a great deal of children that are signed up in Coffee County.
That's one. Do you have any idea how many children?
Right now we have 86% of the children eligible that are enrolled from birth to 5 years old. So that's about, if I'm not mistaken, it's over 3,000. It's maybe 3,600 or something like that right now. It goes up and down as children are born and as children turn 5. So.
And we're trying hard to get to all those children that are not enrolled. So if you happen to know someone that maybe doesn't have access to TV or to internet, you might encourage them to come over to your house and check out the Imagination Library and get them the information that they might need to get their child enrolled, because I think this is phenomenal.
It's a wonderful program that Dolly started, and Dolly just really wanted to tell everybody the story of it through this documentary.
And that's through the documentary movie.
Yes, and after the documentary, the world premiere goes live on December 9th on Facebook. Dolly will actually have a live Q&A session and play her song Try live on air there.
Wonderful. She is amazing.
She's amazing.
I mean, she has done this for such a long time, given money for the flu shots. I just can't thank her enough. And still looking great.
She donated money for a coronavirus vaccine recently, too. And you can, if you don't get to watch the premiere on Facebook, this movie will be available on Netflix and YouTube after the premiere. But you can always go to our Imagination Library of Coffee County page and help us out with donations.
And I think that any amount in a donation, it comes in handy now, because you've not been able to do your fundraisers due to this pandemic, and we don't want to lose this great opportunity. And in your county, I know you're a board member. Do you need other people?
We can always use new board members. We have a couple of new board members. So you can message us on our Facebook page or contact anybody that you may know is a board member if you want to join us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And offer a little bit of help.
Yeah, because we all, there's about 10 of us or so, and we all do our little part to help out with the program. Everybody has their part.
And it's totally volunteer.
It is volunteer.
It's not a paid job. And we do have a lot of people that love to volunteer and a lot of people that are especially interested in books. As a child, obviously, we had books, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't have books, and this program, to bring it into the home with a child's name on it, I think sometimes children don't ever get recognized much, and they have the ability to look forward to something coming in the mail with their name on it, and that makes it exciting.
They do. It's exciting, and it's great for the whole family to get together and read the book. It's great for that family involvement. And Dolly understood all that. Dolly wants to get books in the hands of children. Her own father was illiterate, and that's another reason this was special for her. She wants books in all homes for children.
There's a lot more illiteracy than we actually like to think about in this country, and every little bit we can do to help promote this program is very important. Do you have a favorite book?
I really liked Blueberries for Sal when I was a child, where little Sal went blueberry picking with her mother and went off into the woods and saw a bear and that kind of thing. I loved that book for some reason.
When I was little, I don't remember many books of this nature. We had our school books and stuff like that, but there was not a whole lot of just fun books for kids to read, and or at least I didn't have access, so reading became important to me and still is. Well, Laurel, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate what you do. Let's remind them one more time of the date of the movie, and remember to write down this Facebook reference here to know how to get in touch. And the movie, again, is what date?
Our Facebook page is Imagination Library of Coffee County, and when we reach 1,000 likes, we're going to give away some door prizes. I didn't get to mention that yet.
Yeah, so get online and like this.
Yes, and our movie premiere is December 9th at 6 o'clock Central on Facebook Live. You can find all that information and RSVP to watch the world premiere of the movie on our Facebook page. And of course, get to hear Dolly with the Q&A and her song, and help support Imagination Library of Coffee County.
Thank you, Laurel.
Thank you so much.
This was great having you on the set today. We will be back with more things.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community, because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family, caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're glad to be here this morning, and never could we do the whole history of railroading in Tullahoma in a short time, but we love to hit the highlights of it. And today, since the ARC train is coming to Tullahoma, I thought it would be appropriate to speak a little bit about the history of railroading in Tullahoma and the formal opening of the ARC train in the 200 block of North Atlantic Street is at 10 o'clock, just a little while from now, and the train's in place, and everything is neat and trim, and the show will be wonderful, and it'll be all through this weekend. We hope you can avail yourself of this opportunity to see the ARC train. Let me start by saying that Tullahoma is a railroad town. They built the railroad from Chattanooga to Nashville in 1850, and the freight depot and the passenger depot were in the 100 block of North Atlantic Street. And when road traffic became real heavy, and freight trains would stop to load or unload, they would block Lincoln Street and Grundy Street. So they jacked the freight depot up, and that's what this picture is. They've jacked it up, laid rails under it, and put it down on some flat cars and moved it 2 blocks south, right across the railroad from where Hawk's hardware store is now. And it operated and took boxcar loads of material and furniture and cars and things that people needed for from 1921 to 1968, when it was raised, when the highway 18-wheelers began to be so plentiful. But that was the early days, and of course they made where that freight depot had been, they made it in a park that was used as a city park for many, many years. Mr. W.J. Davidson was mayor, and it was named for him as Davidson Park, and real nice park. And moving right along, here's a photograph of one of our switch engines, and it's hard to see, but the second gentleman from the left is Mr. Harry Harris, that lived on South Atlantic Street, and he drove the train up the Sparta branch every day. He was the engineer, and the tradition is that when he would approach Tullahoma late in the afternoon, while he'd blow his whistle, and his wife could tell what he wanted for supper by the way he tooted his whistle. I thought that was real neat. Real nice fella. Got a lot of switch engines, and there was a turnaround spot on North Atlantic Street right in front of Haynes Hull Law Office, where the engine would go up a little grade there, and he would turn it around. They'd turn the engine around so it could be going the other way. There is a Y in Tullahoma running around Builder Supply in that area of town that a whole train can turn around, and it's the only turnaround spot between Nashville and Chattanooga. Now, moving right along, here's one of our yellow stripers that the NC and St. L Railroad bought 24 of those right before World War II, and they they pull the big military trains and war material between the supplier and the West Coast and the East Coast, and especially right here in Middle Tennessee because of the maneuvers during 1942 and 1943. A sister engine to this one is on display at Centennial Park in Nashville next to the Parthenon, and those train lovers might like to see that sometime. And here's old steam freight train coming right through the middle of town about 1940. You see the smoke, and I might mention this too, that part of the culture back then were the hobos. I haven't seen a hobo in a long, long time, but back in the 30s, when times were tough, why, you might see as many as 15 or 20 on a freight train. And a lot of them stopped in Tullahoma to ask for a meal or a sandwich, and they never gave any problems at all. And some of them even would mow your yard or rake your leaves for a meal, and they were really great. And I think the hobos still have an organization and have conventions somewhere in Iowa every year. This picture shows one of the old hotels, the Park Hotel, which is on the lot between the railroad and the First Baptist Church. And this was a branch train that was getting ready to go to McMinnville, Manchester, and Sparta. And you may not realize it, but just between Tullahoma and Manchester, there were three stops. One at Hickerson Station near Hickerson School, and one at Belmont, and one at Blackjack. And the station at Belmont consisted of just a little, not a lean-to, but a shelter for people who waited on the train. And this is not a very good picture of it, but it shows a couple waiting for the train there at Belmont. Now, lastly, with the advent of all the heavy traffic in 18-wheelers, and we still see these every day coming through. One January, about 1975, on a Sunday afternoon, we had a derailment in the 400 block of North Atlantic Street in front of the dental office there, and it piled up furniture and hardware and cars on about a 2 or 3 block area there, and it was bitter cold, and it took several days to clear the rubble from the track, but they did finally. And shortly after that, just south of Tullahoma, a coal train derailed, and they asked people to bring their buckets and sacks, and they could have all the coal they wanted. And it was a quick cleanup because they got to have their coal for nothing. And the railroad means a great deal to our economy here, and we have really enjoyed it all through the years. And we'll have some more on the railroad, because this is not the end. There's more to come, and you join us every Thursday, and we'd be glad to see you. Hope you have a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the paint. I just knocked a tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel that the paint works, where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good, because you work hard for them and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat.
You know, they do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the Paintworks at 1960 North Washington Street and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a good friend of mine and one of our aldermen, Rupa Blackwell, and Rupa's here to talk about the diversity conversation in Tullahoma and what's going on as far as trying to set up a diversity council and what that really means and what the goals are for that. Because we're reading in the newspaper what this one says and that one says and this and that, and this is unjaded right here.
Yeah, hear it from the horse's mouth. Isn't
right
that,
there,
is
there
that...
it is. Prettiest horse I've seen. Jerry Harris is sitting out there with our horse. He's the horseman in here, and she'd win a blue ribbon right there.
Can she walk? No, not really.
She doesn't walk. She runs.
Yeah.
So tell us what's happening.
So, you know, about 6 months ago, I guess I'll walk through the process with where this came from. I think that's important. About 6 months ago, I had a couple of people reach out to me saying that they wanted to talk about, but first of all, they talked about racism in our town. And they wanted to discuss different ways about, and you remember there used to be a diversity council before.
Yeah, we were part of that because our church, First Christian Church, was part of that, and King's Cross was part of that.
Yes.
Pastor Moody, who lived next door to me, and Tom, and Kat Murray was part of that.
Yeah.
Frida Lusk.
Lots
Had
of
a great big group of us. There were mentors, there were lectures, there were places for
Camp
the kids.
Diversity.
We had camps for the kids to go to.
And there was essay contests, and so people were reaching out to me like, hey, let's talk about how we can talk about different cultures, different ideas within our community, and what kind of process this would look like. So in these conversations I started having with people, I started hearing from lots of different members and groups within our community, and it started to grow to be not just a conversation about a cultural shift within our community, which is mainly just education, but also ways in which our city can help better support our communities.
Right.
And so in these conversations and communications from Pastor Torbert, Stephen Hovatter, a lot of different people who reached out to me, the disability community, I started realizing that it seemed like there was a need for us to have a larger conversation with our city government. So I reached out to Jennifer Moody.
Right.
by the way, I'm going to say this right now. She's a fantastic city administrator. I feel like she doesn't get enough credit. She has possibly the toughest job in Tullahoma.
No doubt.
And so, but I said, how do we even start this conversation? You know, what I'm hearing from these people is that they want to have a group where this can even be discussed. So how do we get an idea of what direction we're going in with this? Because, you know, I'm hearing from the community all these different things. Some things aren't feasible. Some things are that we can work on. And what do we do? And she said, the first thing you need to do is have an open meeting. Right, you need to say, let's have an open meeting, discuss the Diversity Council, an idea of it, and what type of direction we can see coming from it.
Right.
So we had an open meeting, and that is literally for where, I don't know if anybody else watches Parks and Rec as much as I do, but it's where anybody can come and voice anything that they have to say to us.
Right.
Okay, I didn't censor people by any means. They were allowed to say whatever they wanted, and what I heard were some things that we have zero jurisdiction over, but things that there are absolutely ways we can work toward. Right. One of the things that came out of it is, you know, the city has just is putting into place an ADA accessibility plan, and the meeting that was held to even put that plan together was in a non-ADA accessible building. And so members of the disability community, even though it was an open meeting, couldn't even attend.
Couldn't even get there.
And it's accidental. These things are accidental, right? It's not on purpose to make people feel not included, but sometimes if you have a voice there to say, hey, have you thought about this? That's what the goal was, right? So in hearing these different issues that we're hearing within the community, we said, all right, it sounds like there's something that a council can do to try to bridge this gap, to be, in all honesty, the eyes and ears for our city board and for our city government, rather than the city board and city government having to go out there continuously all the time to hear this feedback, right? This is almost to bridge and in some ways make it a little bit easier on us.
Sure.
So we created bylaws. So there's steps. There's so many steps to everything.
Oh, heavens, yes.
And it's so slow. So then we sat down and said, all right, what is the next step? It's clear that there's a need. And it's clear that, you know, people are turning in citizen participation forms. I think I have 25 forms already filled out at this point. They want to be a part of this. What this was becoming more put together. So we sat and put together a bylaws committee. Okay, and so what we did is we took all the different information that we heard from people and said, this is a problem that we're hearing within the community. Let's create bylaws that we can use so that when we create this council or commission or whatever it's going to be named, we'll be able to figure out ways to solve those problems. Okay.
Right.
So, perfect. Another example, and a lot of this does come from the disability community. They've been very vocal and great. You know, we have a large Spanish-speaking population with disabilities, and we don't have information in Spanish. So one of the things they're saying is, you know, housing and all these different things, which Tullahoma Housing Authority is something that the city government participates in. We need it in Spanish. Simple solve, right? That's kind of where
that's a state solve.
That's a state solve. Yeah, but the information leaflets we could create. We could write a grant. We could try to do that ourselves in some ways. So
right.
There's bridging these gaps, right?
But the state should have that already. I guarantee you the Nashville Housing Authority has it.
Right.
You know, we ought to be able to call the state, and I worked for the Housing Authority.
And get that information from them.
It's hard to get information out of a government worker. You know, if you have a government form, either from the military, from the state, from anything, always write on it in magic marker that doesn't print, original. Because if you ever use that one, you may never get one back again.
Well, and it was there were so many different. And another woman came up to me and said, you know, one of the issues I had growing up, she's first generation, born in America. Her parents were immigrants. They spoke only Spanish. She said, we'd get all these flyers. And this is something that is not city government as well. But you know how you get those flyers in your packets from school, and it's like, join the soccer team leagues and do all this. Her family couldn't read it. They didn't know. And those are things that, while some of these things aren't necessarily things the city government can do, in terms of that cultural shift and in terms of education, letting people know about it, that was one of those things that could come from this council. So in talking about all these things that have come to us, we're like, let's create these bylaws with these outcomes and objectives that can fit into these categories, right? So one of those things is, I can read them to you, which might actually be the easiest. The one is to coordinate programs and activities that advocate for the percentage of underrepresented communities.
Right, underrepresented.
Underrepresented, historically underrepresented communities. Which, and I want to say, our bylaws had originally just said historically underrepresented communities, but we then, and it still says that, and it then adds in language past there because Steve Worsham asked us to do that.
Right.
So these bylaws that we were creating then went through our attorney. Stacy Lynch was our attorney who wrote these, and then they went through Steve Worsham, and we went back and forth, but a little bit, and until we got to the point where this is the bylaws. And one of the things I want to point out is the bylaws themselves. By creating bylaws, this is not like a mayor's initiative, like the Get Fit and the Go Green. By creating bylaws, it creates some perpetuity. It allows for this to be more like the Tullahoma Arts Council, more like, I'm trying to think of the Sports Council used to be, but it's not anymore, where it sits under the city with actual bylaws attached to it. So it makes it so that you have to follow certain rules, the Open Meetings Act, etc., but it formalizes it.
Right.
It absolutely. So coordinating programs, activities, providing education that enhances cultural awareness, ideas that people have brought to me, which cost money, which is why we were writing grants, was a Black History Museum that's specific to Tullahoma history. Another idea was an international festival, and I was like, any day I can have dosas and tacos at the same time sounds good to me. And then and these last two are the ones that I think are the most important, and why it's so important that this stays with the city. Serve as a source to network and share information on city-specific programs, activities, and policies that enhance opportunities for all of our residents, and provide input related to city-specific programs, activities, and policies. And when we were talking about the ADA accessibility plan, right, that's where it fits into there, where we could say, hey, this is coming up. Let's make sure that this place is ADA accessible so that the nonprofits that are going to want to come and bring people with disabilities to listen and to give input, they are able to go.
All right, I want to say a couple things here. We're about out of time.
Oh gosh.
We're about out of time. We're going to stretch this a little bit. If we've got any time, we're going to take it.
Okay.
Because this is very important. Number one is this is not a strictly racial matter.
Definitely not. No.
So don't stomp your foot and chomp your lip about that. The reference was made that there was almost like there was fear that this committee would write legislation that would operate within the city without the city having the right to approve or disapprove it, which is wrong.
Give input.
And
the way that they do that is in the bylaws that possibly the mayor can appoint a city board liaison to it, just like I go to the Board of Education. Yeah, and just like I sit on the Tourism Council I used to sit on.
Okay.
And so they just are supposed to sit there and listen.
Another thing I want to make sure to get this point across is there was a thing said, well, it needs to be a nonprofit.
Oh.
All right. It does not need to be a nonprofit for two reasons. People say, oh, well, the city funds nonprofits. The city gives incremental small pieces of funding to nonprofits. Nonprofits raise the most of their money by fundraising.
Yes.
And donations. The people that we're talking about who are underrepresented have no money to donate.
Can I have, yes, I'm in completely, and I will say this, I really was frustrated with myself in that meeting. And if you know me, you know it's very rare for me to be at a loss for words.
Very rare.
I'm sitting at that board meeting, and I will tell you this. I am a very well-known nonprofit professional. That is literally what my job is. I have produced events and helped fundraise $300 to $400 million in this country, okay?
Okay.
So the fact that this is being talked about as though I'm not sitting here, because in the end, I'm the expert on that board when it comes to nonprofits. Yes, and not just on our board. If you want to talk about nonprofits and fundraising and how to do that, come see me, because that's what I'm good at.
Well, you know...
and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but...
What you just said, I'm going to throw this out, has nothing to do with this, but it seems like that experts aren't necessarily paid attention to right now, because it seemed like to me the fire chief and the police chief would be experts on what kind of telephones and microphones they need. Okay, but evidently it takes 3 or 4 board meetings to get that across. This is something that's very, very important, and why should we be afraid of being better than the rest by being what Tullahoma claims to be, a rising star? Why can't we be the ones that take the first step to do something different and be a rising star?
And when we go out there to recruit industries are looking for stuff like this. They're not looking for how great our roads are, which are important, and I get that. But what they're looking for is what is going to, if they're going to bring their industry here, if they're going to invest in bringing a company to Tullahoma that could offer hundreds of jobs to our citizens, which are important, they're looking for what amenities does our town give those people? What ways can they ensure that the people that they hire have equal access to stuff, that they are being considered, that there's, the cultural awareness part of this. Everybody wants a festival with food, right? There's things that you look for when you're looking to bring a company to a town, and this will help with that. And I feel like that doesn't get talked about either, but there's a big economic, impact that this could have.
So that's that.
I got hot and bothered this time.
We all get hot and bothered about stuff. I'll probably be in trouble for my 2 cents, but guess what? I'm 71 years old, and you just have to like it or not like it. This is how I'm going to end this.
Okay.
And I wrote this after meeting an individual I'd never seen before. I'm exhausted. My life has left me drained. Where will I find manna to finish the show? Has God forsaken me? Then in the eyes and smile of a stranger, I find strength and joy that lifts me above my situation. And I realize God's light shines through new faces, beyond common places. Beyond common places where we stretch and grow, outside the comfort zone of all the things we know, to an open mind that opens brand new spaces. God's universe waits beyond common places.
I love that.
Get beyond your comfort zone and reach for the stars, ladies and gentlemen. That's what life's all about. It's not about what you take with you, it's what you leave behind. Look, take care of those that need your help.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
what you do.
Of course.
Okay. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is the face of a fighter.
I'm fighting to keep Tennesseans working.
I'm fighting for time with my friends.
I'm fighting for football on Saturday.
I'm fighting to see my students back in the classroom.
We're fighting for our small business.
I'm fighting to keep my family safe.
Whatever you're fighting for, it's time for all Tennesseans to fight back. Until there's a vaccine for COVID-19, this is the face of a fighter. Face it, masks fight COVID-19.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No employee of the month bonus check here. This guy, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate, Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to prove the only way you can get what you want is to work for it and go against those at the top of the ladder because you're at the bottom, and they ain't nothing finer than the climb. When you get to the top, it's nowhere near as much fun as the climb. I wrote this song out of frustration with BMI, my royalty rights company in Nashville, and here's my version of If I Were King of the Forest at South Jackson Goes Country this year.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, songwriting is a wonderful thing. It's a collaborative art. It's sometimes you do it by yourselves. It's amazing where the ideas come from. They just show up. And one of the first song I'm going to do is called King of the Forest. And the reason I wrote it is I was trying to get in touch with BMI. My licensing agency in Nashville, that either BMI or ASCAP, or I think there's one or two more, but I'm a BMI writer, and couldn't get them on the phone. You know, I had some questions I needed to ask, and I was trying to get something done with some songs and make sure things were in the proper place and all that. I really got upset.
Hello, handsome.
My.
Yeah.
What a big predicament this is.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're still running from the po-po. We just had to put on our big girl panties and go with it, you know. But we did take your advice.
I've seen big panties before, but that's the biggest pair of panties I've ever seen.
We did make some face masks, though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because of the pandemic, you got face masks?
Yeah, we got face masks.
Well, where are they?
Oh. Yeah. You think that'll work, John?
They've got teeth.
Yeah. But
That's dangerous enough without teeth.
Hey, that po-po bit around. That po-po tased me though, John.
He tased you?
Yeah, can you help a girl out? He tased me right there. That's the way those
Do
po-po
you know my
are.
wife is sitting right there?
Well, hey. You'd probably be single by the end of the second act.
Let's see, what you got?
Got tased right.
It fell out.
Oh, no.
I hope nothing else falls out. What?
Asset.
They tased her in her greatest asset.
Yeah.
That's a great asset right there, if I've ever seen one.
Well, just remember that we're innocent. We are innocent.
Not totally.
Come on.
Ernestine and Sadie.
Oh, yeah, shortcut. Yeah. We are innocent. Fake news.
I love this place. So as I was saying, I was trying to get in touch with BMI and couldn't get in touch with anybody, and I just got frustrated. This shows you how things happen, the process is. The first thing that came to my mind was the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz, and he went, "If I were king of the forest, not duke, not earl, nor prince." Now, with the help of Billy Hullet over here, we're going to show you how it ended up.
She'd let us do it after the first one.
If I were king of the forest, not prince, not earl or prince, your mic's on, Sadie, I'd tear down the walls around Music City and put up a white picket fence. I'd take the doors that they keep locked tight, turn them into gates that open both ways, so anyone could walk right in and find a place to sing and play. They say that's just the music business, but business can be so damn cold. The fans take what they are given, but they still search for the soul of the melodies that are wrapped around life, where the stories are still told. Camo clad, they hunt for the heart, while man just hunts for more gold. Yeah, if I was king of the forest, not duke, not earl or prince, I'd yodel, I'd croon, I'd howl at the moon, happy to just have a chance to share the tales I've learned along life's trails, and hold every eye in the room with melodies good and lyrics understood. Now, man, that can't happen too soon. Yeah, with melodies good and lyrics understood. Now, man, that can't happen too soon. If I were king of the forest, not duke, not earl or prince, I'd tear down the walls round Music City and put up a white picket fence. Thank you very much. Somebody said, "John, you got to send that to Nashville right now." And I said, "Hell, it's about them. They ain't going to play that."
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing. or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, we're back, and it's Thanksgiving time, and
I know. Are you
Peggy?
all set?
Oh no, heavens no! I'm a last minute guy.
I'm gonna do it ahead of time. I could walk in my house right now and serve Thanksgiving dinner.
Hey, how do you like your turkey sandwich?
I had a friend that would have answered it this way: God, I like it.
Yeah, that would have been Ralph.
Yeah.
How did Ralph like to fix a turkey sandwich?
I don't know.
What did he put on it?
I think turkey, mayonnaise,
and bread,
and probably tomato.
Tomato.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you like tomatoes? Do you like eating vegetables?
Yeah, he did.
Summer vegetables, I like that too.
I do too.
But everybody does it a different way, and we've had surveys and videos, and some people put dressing on it, and some people put cranberry sauce,
pickles. Some
and
people put
pickles,
pickles
and bread, different kinds of
lettuce.
breads and stuff. Have you ever burned a turkey?
No, I don't think so.
You know, most women, I can remember when we first got married, we cooked the turkey we went to make stuffing, and we'd left that stuff inside the turkey when it cooked.
Yeah.
And I called Mom and said, Mom, we don't have any stuff to make the gravy with. And she said, why don't you look inside the turkey and see if it's still in there?
What's in there? Yeah.
It was.
I didn't know that either at first.
But I imagine most young brides have burnt a turkey.
Probably.
But you were raised on a farm, so you knew how to do that prior to being married.
I never cooked anything until I got married. I had to go out and I went out and bought a little book, recipe book that said cooking for two, and I would go shopping and I'd get 2 potatoes and 2 pieces of meat and I'd come home and that's what I would do. And it wasn't that my mother didn't want me to cook. I was better at washing dishes than I was at cooking.
I'm pretty good at washing dishes
I
too.
was better at that. Anyway, cooking was not a big issue with me growing up. It's too bad. I think I did learn to fry chicken somewhere along the way.
Did you learn how to wring one's neck and pull the feathers off of them?
Yes, I did. Daddy gave me he sent me outside and he said, you know, you got to learn to kill a chicken. And I said, why? And he said, well, you're going to want to eat one of these days, and I'm not going to be here to kill your chicken. So you go out there and wring that chicken's neck. Well, if he said do it, you better do it, because that was...
You was going to end up doing it one way or another.
So I went out there and I tried and I cried, and finally I got an axe and cut his head off. But I did kill a chicken. That was tough for me. That was hard.
Well, you know, that's growing up on a farm,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and we just hope everybody is safe, and be sure that it's hard for people to go, okay, I'm not having people over for Thanksgiving because of COVID. The government says, you know, should we pay attention to what the government says? I don't know. 8 people,
well, I think
family members,
and be clean.
And be clean.
Be clean.
Wash your
and,
hands.
You know, and take your plate and go in different rooms.
Yeah, go outside.
Enjoy your family.
It's supposed to be pretty, so go
I think
go
it's
outside.
Be a beautiful day.
Build a fire in a pit and roast hot dogs.
Right, roast hot dogs or.
I like hot dogs. You
make
like hot
a
dogs?
S'more.
You like hot dogs?
I have in time. I don't know when I've eaten a hot dog.
All right, give us a rundown on South Jackson Street Band.
Oh, well, we're trying our best to stay alive like everybody else because we love to do the music, and we're still planning to do December 5th in Normandy at that facility, the old
down
school.
The old school.
Down at the old
down
school,
behind
which
the
is
square.
a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
And We are limited to 50 people. I think we're close to that. But if anybody's
I'm looking forward to
interested,
meeting those people.
we're trying hard to, stay with the pandemic thing.
Sure.
I think the room holds about 150, but we have limited it to 50, and
it'll be fun.
it'll be fun. There'll be food. There'll be Christmas music, and so
And
if
you can
just
shake
wanna-
your booty. Can
and
you
if
shake your booty?
You can shake your booty, or you can come in your mask and just
Shake your
relax. We hope to see a few people there.
Okay, well, what we're going to do right now is thank you for watching. Have a great Thanksgiving. We're going to end this show with a little bit of the South Jackson Street Band taking you into the Thanksgiving mood with some Thanksgiving music.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you next time. Happy Thanksgiving.